Hello, welcome back. We're at the Precious Metals Summit in Zurich, and I'm with Fawzi Hanano, the Chief Development Officer at Cornish Metals. Fawzi, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, we've called up, we've actually been on site, we've created a documentary, we've spoken to Richard many times, and it's really good to see you here. Obviously, you're fairly new to the company, so perhaps just to begin with, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So I joined the company in early September this year. I come from a background in the mining field. Prior to joining Cornish Metals, I was with SolGold, spent 2.5 years there heading up investor relations and communications. Prior to that, I spent 12 years in mining equity research at a number of banks, Goldman's, UBS, Berenberg, and others, focused again on mining equities and commodities. And I started my career at Rio Tinto in Montreal in their RTIT division in business development 22 years ago.
So what's attracted you to Cornish Metals? I've got a lot of reasons in my head why I love it, but it's always nice when someone's come in and they've looked at it from the outside and thought, this is a place where I want to be. What drew you there?
There are quite a few things that attracted me to Cornish Metals. Firstly, the commodity. This is a commodity that I believe is being underlooked by the market. It's misunderstood. So there's a lot of potential there in terms of education and a lot of potential for, I believe, that the tin market itself, fundamentals look very strong, given the end uses into electronics. So anything electronic will need tin and solder. So there's a lot of upside from that perspective. The company itself, I'm attracted to the made in UK story as well, compared to a lot of the work I've done before that have been always very distant jurisdictions where then you have to deal with more uncertainties from a geopolitical perspective and support. Looking at South Crofty, there's a lot of community support, so that was a very important tick in the box as well. And also looking at what Cornish Metals has with South Crofty. It had been mined for over 400 years, a lot of operational history, so that also de-risks it quite significantly. Plus, last year was a defining moment with the large investment from Vision Blue Resources, along with other investors, where Vision Blue came in with the 25 million out of the 40.5 million pound raise, which really set things going in terms of now the company being able to have finished building the water treatment plant and start pumping water just earlier this month, and moving towards completing the feasibility and towards an investment decision. So it's also something that feels quite tangible. I've been to site several times since I've joined. I'd imagine if you visit again, you'll see it's changed quite a lot. So there's a lot of activity, and the company is growing. It's gone from about 10 employees last year to just over 50. And again, all but one are local to Cornwall. So again, these are all very important elements where it's going to be contributing to the local area. Cornwall has been very rich in mining and tin mining particularly. So it's part of giving back to the community.
Good. Very good. Talk us through, obviously, you just mentioned something there. Obviously, the dewatering's begun, which has been a milestone that everyone's been eagerly anticipating. So whilst that, obviously, that's an 18-month process. So whilst that's going on, what does Cornish Metals need to be doing in the meantime to really, once that's finished, really get to a point where they can actually kickstart construction and go into production?
Well, there's a lot for us to do. So dewatering is started. That's extremely important. As the water levels go down, there's going to be some work, going down the shaft, evaluating the condition of the shaft. The feasibility study is well underway. We've completed several components of the feasibility study, including the metallurgical drilling program. That's complete. We've completed the ore sorting testing, which has brought out some very positive results. We're looking at, approximately 50% waste rejection with 3 to 5% metal loss. So that's quite significant in terms of the sizing of the process plant. So potential capex gains from that perspective, and of course, less material coming through. That's going to be a benefit from on an OPEX perspective. Yeah. But there's still, finalization of the process plant, finalization of the mine design. In September, we released an updated mineral resource for South Crofty, which saw a 39% increase in the tonnage in the indicated category and 32% increase in contained tin in the indicated category. So now you were using this updated resource, which will feed into the mine plan. So there's still quite a bit of work going on there to complete the feasibility study. So we'd expect sometime in the first half of next year, early next year, to have all components of the feasibility study completed, with the exception of the drilling, where access to the underground mine workings as the dewatering takes place. That will dictate when we can get in and do the confirmation drilling. But keeping quite busy in the coming year.
Just remind us all of the current capital structure within Cornish Metals.
So currently we have 535 million shares on issue. We have no debt. As of the last reported financial statements for the quarter ended July 31st, we had 39 or just under 40 million Canadian dollars in the bank. So that's to see us through towards the completion of dewatering and feasibility study. A lot of that funding, of course, came from last year's equity raise. Our main shareholders, we have Vision Blue Resources. They're a top shareholder at 25.9%. Lansdowne Partners are in at 6.2%. We have Cisco as well, Cisco Development at just about 8.6% as well. So they're our main shareholders. So yeah, that's kind of our capital structure currently.
South Crofty, once it's in production in 2026, or once it gets there, is really going to be Europe's primary source of tin. And I wouldn't mind, just for those less familiar who haven't potentially seen the past videos, just reminding us of the project as it stands now and really what sets it apart.
South Crofty was the last operating tin mine in Cornwall. It closed in 1998, actually 13 years after most other hard rock tin mines closed. And it didn't close because it ran out of tin. It closed because the tin prices collapsed. But it managed to stay in production for 13 years more than most of its peers, which is testament to the high grade and low cost nature of the operation when it was up and running. So what we have now at South Crofty, the updated mineral resource has 5.5 million tons in total that's indicated and inferred at a little bit under 1.5% tin grade. This makes it the fourth highest grade tin project in the world, and actually the highest grade not in production. So that's quite important. When it does come into production in 2026, it will be the only tin mining operation in the UK and the only primary tin mining in all of Europe. So currently tin is designated a critical mineral in the UK, US and Canada. There is no primary production, actually no tin mine production at all in North America, and only very small secondary production in Europe. So this could be quite important and strategic to bring local tin mining to the UK and Europe.
Good. Okay. And talk to me a little bit about one of the main reasons why I really wanted to catch up with you guys at the show was actually more about the exploration potential of the wide formation.
Yeah.
So I understand that your drilling's already begun, and I wouldn't mind just getting a little bit of an update on that in particular.
So the wide formation is a very recent discovery. There was some drilling done in 2021-22 of the Great Flat Lode, which is a mineralized body that sits closer to the surface. With that drilling campaign, one of the drill holes that came down a little bit deeper intersected what we see now as the wide formation. We had just under 3 meters at 1% tin, so quite good grade. So a drilling program has started. It's a 9,000 meter, 14-hole program that's underway, started in August, September of this year. And it's really to assess, what is there. Our belief is potentially we have in the wide formation a district scale mineralized body that could add significant resource to what we already have at South Crofty. We're looking, in the range of around 8 million tons. I was talking about now an updated mineral resource, which is indicated and inferred of 5.5 million tons. So that's quite significant in terms of how much additional resource can come through. But it also has the potential to extend the mine life and to increase the throughput. So it is quite exciting if this is what we expect it to be.
Does this make any difference? Say, for example, the assays come back. It's very rich in cassiterite and the grades are very high, and it does have this scalability similar to, I believe, that the old Great Flat Lode had prior. Because I think the initial thought would be it was a parallel structure to that structure, right? And so if you can determine that in the short term, does that change anything with the way South Crofty is built? Do you believe, or is that then something that you then need to figure out afterwards once it's been drilled out further?
So it will not affect how we'll go ahead with getting South Crofty up and running. This will be a bit more longer term, not too long term. But South Crofty, our target is to get it into production by the end of 2026.
Yeah.
Now, with the way the mine process plant is being designed, it's being designed with the footprint to accommodate an expansion.
Good.
So in the event that this does come true, and if we assess that the structure is there, we'll have further phase 2, phase 3 drilling programs to better assess, go into resource. And later on, we're looking more end of this decade, where it could potentially start feeding into South Crofty. So that's where you have the potential of significantly increasing the throughput of the process plant, and of course adding quite a lot of additional years. But what's also quite interesting is the White Formation sits only about 600 meters to the south of where the process plant is, so it can all be integrated.
Yeah, and I think from memory as well, when you're down shaft as well, it's actually quite easy to access the White Formation.
That's correct. We could easily access it through additional declines. So it is quite conveniently located. There's not much additional investment would be needed for the access.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.